Hi, and welcome to the Squeaky Wheel Farm. I'm Christine, and behind me is what was a cornfield previously that we are going to be converting to pasture, and we'll probably get to planting that sometime next spring. But I just wanted to take a moment to walk out here just to see. Now, we did have the corn stalks baled, so there isn't a whole lot of residue or stalks, and there certainly isn't any corn out here because I've looked. Now, there are some years in the past where maybe the combine doesn't get everything and it leaves bits of corn here and there. And on those years, it's just like finding nuggets of gold. It's worth putting your cattle out onto that field so they can eat those residues and get up that little bits of corn that you've missed. And it can really extend your feed bill. But I just wanted to walk around here and just take a look, get the lay of the land and figure out how this is going to work. We do have several other pastures up the hill and more towards the house. And our property is kind of configured to where everything is rotated around the house. So I can take the cattle from one side and move them from pasture to pasture and then wind up back in the same spot, kind of in a circle or semicircle. And there's just one area where we have to cross the driveway, which is, an issue as far as getting the cows back to the original pasture. But that helps us to do the rotational grazing. And we only do that in the summertime. We do that when the grass is growing and we need to move them. Right now, what we considered is a winter pasture. There's no grass growing, and it's just an area for them to be close to the feed and close to the feeders and close to the water, so they don't have to expend a lot of calories to get what they need. A lot of times they'll hang out next to a building if it's a windy day, or other times I've got a couple acres of pine trees that they'll hang out underneath the pine trees if it's a particularly nasty day. Now, if you can see behind me, there is a lot of gray cloud cover, and we're probably going to be getting some more snow. We had a couple of days of warm weather and melted all the snow that we already had, but there's more coming. It is wintertime, and we usually have snow in the wintertime. Oliver, come! Come! So that crazy pup of mine just decided to follow me out here. And normally they don't leave the immediate area of the house, but, that's Oliver. Anyway, I just wanted to walk the field and just see what was going on out here. I think with us having had them bale all the corn stalks, that's going to help us with making the pasture. I do see a lot of deer tracks, so we've been feeding a lot of deer here, I'm sure. We're not really big hunters, but, there are a lot of deer out here, and we do have a lot of neighbors that hunt, so not a big deal. It's not like we can keep them out of our cornfield anyway. They are going to get what they're going to get, and by hook or crook, they're going to get a living of their own and gather up any corn that was left or any grasses that are left behind. The plan is for us to fence that in next spring or early summer, get it planted. We will probably plant first, and then we'll work on getting it fenced in. We like to do the electric wire, the 5-strand or 6-strand electric wire, because that really works well with our animals. I do have one pasture that has the welded wire fencing, and that is really good for immediately after when we have our calves, because it takes a day or two for them to realize that they need to stay with their mamas. And so, a day or two in that pasture and they're ready to move out into the big fields with the rest of the herd. And I'm just walking back here on the furthest corner of our property. There are a few trees back here, but not a lot. It's mostly scrub trees, things that are not going to be good for firewood. But, there are some. And there's also an area on our property. I've got a couple acres on the other side of a creek, and it's got a really deep ravine. So in the 30 years that we've owned this property, I have never set foot on that property. We're going to be working on making some kind of a bridge or a culvert so that we can get over there. In the past, we've let our neighbors graze it because it's only like 2 acres. And the fence was kind of rickety. So, you know, as long as he maintained it and kept his cattle in, and they did get out a few times, but wasn't our issue. You know, kept it mowed down. But it's time for us to start using that property. And if we can find a way to, you know, bridge that, put a culvert in and bridge that gap for that ravine, then that's what we're going to do. So another project that we've got on the horizon, but that'll help to make our farm more profitable. Because right now we are limited on what we can do as far as cattle. Cattle is our preferred way of making money on the farm. They're actually the easiest animal for us to raise. We've done a lot of chickens before. We've done goats. Love having goats. They're playful and fun. And you can make some money with goats if you're careful with what you do. But cows are so easy. You know, they take care of their own babies. As long as you put some feed out and some fresh water, they're happy. And for the most part, we've got pretty tame cattle. We've had some wild ones in the past. We've gotten rid of them quickly. And, you know, the tame ones that we have, they stay in their fences. They do what they're supposed to do. We've got a pretty good agreement going on between them. We feed them, and they stay in the fence. And it works out for both of us. By adding 6 acres of pasture into our rotation, as well as the pasture that we planted last spring, we're going to be able to increase our herd size. And I think usually they say 1 cow or 1 large animal per acre. So I'm hoping that, you know, eventually we'll be able to grow a little bit and keep another 5 or 6 animals on our farm. It's also not going to extend any of our chores. Won't make them any harder because we're already out there feeding and watering the animals. It won't take any extra time other than baling a few extra bales to get those animals through the winter. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to more sunshine. Looking forward to spring. But first of all, we got to get through the winter. And winter is a time of rest around here. It's a time to curl up by the fireplace and read a book. What do you do during the winter time? Is this a time for you to rest and relax? Do you take your vacations? Do you sit by the fire and read a book? Well, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. Oh, and one more thing. I hope to see you again soon. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, watch this next.